Felicitous greetings, fellow fanatics. Welcome back, one and all. I'm AtF, and today we're taking a look at DuckTales, an action-adventure platform inspired by the TV series of the same name and its remake, DuckTales Remastered. Which is the superior version? Let's dive in and find out. To say that I have nostalgia for the DuckTales video game would be a severe understatement. Not only did I own a copy of the original game for my NES as a child, but it's the very first video game I managed to beat. Not the first game I played, mind you, that honor goes to Super Mario Bros., but I didn't actually beat that one until I was playing through the Super Mario All-Stars collection on the SNES. Regardless, in DuckTales, developed by Capcom of Mega Man and Street Fighter fame, with the remake handled by WayForward of Shantae fame, you'll of course take on the role of Scrooge McDuck, scouring the world for lost treasures to add to his towering money vault. In the remake, things will start you off with an introductory level where Scrooge has to stop a break-in at said vault, though the original has you jumping right into the thick of things. You'll be able to tackle the 5 main stages in any order, traveling from the verdant Amazon rainforest to the desolate halls of Transylvania. I've certainly been getting a lot of use out of Castlevania clips lately, haven't I? Your journeys will take you from the depths of an African diamond mine to the heights of the Himalayan mountains and all the way up to the moon itself. In each stage, Scrooge must find and defeat a hidden boss who guards a valuable treasure. In addition to simply being able to jump to avoid enemies, Scrooge can also use his cane to pogo off of them, which will defeat most foes with a single hit. This also allows him to reach higher places than he can with a normal jump, often revealing the way to secret stashes of treasure. You'll also need to bounce off of enemies at times to clear large gaps, so you'll need to master this mechanic, which eventually served as a major influence on Shovel Knight. Perhaps the strangest mechanic in both versions of the game is the fact that you'll find gems that just appear out of nowhere all over the place. If you pass by a certain spot on the screen, they'll spawn in and you'll want to quickly retrace your steps to collect them. This happens very frequently and will be one of your primary sources of income in the game. You'll also be able to find a couple health upgrades to permanently increase your max HP from 3 to 5 if you get both of them. You only have a handful of lives with which to get through the game. Like most video games of the time, if you lose them in the original, you simply have to start over again from scratch. But it's a short game and can be beaten under an hour once you know what you're doing. The remake allows you to save and restart at the beginning of the level, though it does take a bit longer for reasons we'll get to with the spoiler section. So how exactly do the games differ? Obviously, the biggest point of difference is the presentation. While the original does look pretty good for its time with a wide variety of locales, and the title screen does an admirable job of recreating the theme song in 8 bits, it's still a product of its time and thus is limited in what it can do on the audio and visual side of things due to the hardware limitations of the NES. The remake, on the other hand, uses intricately drawn 2D sprites with 3D stage designs. The stage art definitely feels weaker than the characters, and sometimes it does make it a little hard to judge your positioning due to the mismatched perspective. But the remake's greatest strength and greatest weakness is one and the same: the voice acting. They got many of the voice actors from the original cartoon to reprise their roles in the video game, including the legendary June Foray in one of her final roles as Magica De Spell, in an attempt to recreate the feeling of those Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh, Scroogey, my old friend, you wouldn't believe how much fun it is watching you run around making a fool of yourself.
However, the dialogue can get a little long-winded at times, and often just serves to slow the pacing down. There's not nearly as much humor as there was in the actual show, so most of the time it just feels like an impediment, and I feel like they fell into the trap of overusing dialogue because they had such a strong cast of voice actors behind it. The other big difference is the boss fights. In the original game, bosses were pretty one-note, whereas the remake tends to have a wider variety of attacks and even adds some brand new bosses into the mix that weren't in the game at all. However, while they do look great, they tend to have a lot of downtime in their animations, which, once again, kills the pacing, this time in battle. Although DuckTales is rather light on plot, there are some details pertaining to the ending that I need to discuss. If you wish to avoid spoilers, please jump ahead to the time coordinates indicated on screen. Initiate temporal distortion now. Still with me? Then don't say I didn't warn you. The original game doesn't have too much in the way of an actual story. You're just going around the world collecting treasure. However, there are some odd decisions that the game made. Firstly, the Amazon level requires you to give a hefty sum to a statue in order to pass, though you do get the option to have some revenge against the statue in the remake. Regardless, if you don't have the funds, you'll have to leave the level and return later. Launchpad will take you back to the level select screen, but this can only be done once. You arrive a second time and still don't have the money, you'll soft lock yourself, and the only way to get out is a game over or just reset the game. But perhaps even more baffling is the overuse of the Transylvania stage. You not only go through it when you play the level normally, you'll also have to take a brief detour there when you first visit the African mine stage in order to find the key to the mines, and you cannot find the key on your regular run of Transylvania. To add to that, it also serves as the stage for the game's finale, where you'll return to the boss room to fight Dracula Duck. Where's the Belmont when you need one? After defeating him, Magicka and Glumgold appear, and no, Glumgold isn't found anywhere else in the game. You have to race them to the top of a pillar, but honestly, there's really nothing you can do to lose this. You just hold up and you pretty much win. The remaster, on the other hand, sets things up with a plot where the Beagle Boys break into Scrooge's money bin, and he discovers that they were after a painting of his that has a treasure map on the back, leading him to the 5 locales. Unlike the original, Glumgold makes a few appearances before the finale, making his appearance a lot less out of left field. And similarly, Magicka Dispel plays a much larger role, rather than just being a boss fight in Transylvania. You know, I think Magicka might be a witch. She weighs as much as a duck. Regardless, the Dracula Duck fight is completely different this time, and the chase sequence requires you to race through Mount Vesuvius with a penultimate platforming challenge to reach Scrooge's lucky number 1 dime before the villains can, and then quickly escape from the erupting volcano. Welcome back, Chronauts. You're just in time to join us for the conclusion. All in all, DuckTales is a solid, classic platformer with some fun adventure elements. There are some design choices which are a little archaic, but it still holds up pretty well, and fans of retro platformers should definitely give it a look. The Pogo mechanic is absolutely iconic at this point, and while the game is pretty short, it's a fun ride from start to finish. Bosses are kind of lacking in the original, and the changes they made to them in the remake are mixed, but overall more good than bad. Both versions of the game look pretty good, though in very different ways. If you're a child of the 80s or 90s, the nostalgia value is off the charts, and it makes for a fun, quick afternoon play. Find the original you worthy a solid 7.5 out of 10, and the remake to be a little better at a 7.7 out of 10. If you're interested in playing the original DuckTales, the easiest way to do so these days is via the Disney Afternoon Collection, which is currently available for PC via Steam, as well as the Sony PlayStation 5 and the Microsoft Xbox. On the other hand, if you want to try the remaster version, then it's currently available for PC via Steam. You can also find physical copies available for the Nintendo Wii U, the Sony PlayStation 3, and the Microsoft Xbox 360. If you're interested in purchasing or learning more, links are included in the description. But what about you? What do you think of DuckTales? Which version do you prefer? If you have any questions, remarks, or opposing points of view, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell. And if you really enjoy my work, please consider funding my channel on Patreon. Until next time, farewell, fellow fanatics. Thank you again for watching. I have plenty more to share with you if you're interested. You can click up here above my head to subscribe to my channel. You can click over here on my monitor to see the most recent video that I worked on. Or if you prefer, you can click up here to open this mysterious vault and see what video that the YouTube algorithm has picked just for you.